Professional wrestling has always been built around intense rivalries, sharp words, big personalities, and moments designed to make fans choose a side. But the ongoing tension between Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer has started to feel different. What began as a battle over the Women's World Championship has gradually become one of the most personal stories surrounding the women's division. Their exchanges are no longer simply about who is the better wrestler or who deserves to hold the championship. Instead, both women have repeatedly challenged each other's credibility, career choices, and place in the industry. That has made this rivalry fascinating for fans, but it has also created an uncomfortable edge that is difficult to ignore. Morgan represents the superstar who reached WWE at a young age and developed her career within the company's system, while Vaquer represents the veteran who spent years working her way through smaller promotions before finally receiving an opportunity on WWE's biggest stage. Those completely different journeys have become the foundation of their hostility. Every interview, social media exchange, and confrontation seems to reopen the same argument. Does success come from surviving the long road, or does it come from proving yourself once you finally receive the opportunity? That question has turned their championship rivalry into something much bigger than a normal title feud. Where the bad blood began. The tension between Morgan and Vaquer really exploded after Liv Morgan won the 2026 Women's Royal Rumble and made it clear that she wanted to challenge Stephanie Vaquer for the Women's World Championship. From the beginning, there was very little respect between them. Vaquer believed Morgan had benefited from opportunities that many wrestlers spend years chasing, while Morgan refused to accept the idea that she had been handed anything. Their contrasting opinions quickly became the centerpiece of the feud. Vaquer had spent more than a decade wrestling in independent and international promotions, traveling from one opportunity to another and building her reputation without the massive platform WWE provides. Morgan, meanwhile, had entered WWE much earlier and had spent years developing her personality, athletic ability, and connection with the audience. Neither woman seemed willing to acknowledge the other's path as equally legitimate. That attitude carried directly into their WrestleMania 42 showdown, where the championship was ultimately won by Morgan. The victory should have settled the argument, at least temporarily, but instead, it made the rivalry even more intense. Vaquer believed her championship reign had been interrupted rather than truly ended, while Morgan saw the victory as proof that she had earned her place at the top. From that point forward, every interaction between them carried the feeling that the championship was only part of what they were actually fighting over. The championship becomes the center of the argument. As Morgan's reign continued, Stephanie Vaquer began questioning whether the champion was doing enough to justify her position. One of the biggest talking points involved the number of championship defenses during Morgan's reign. Vaquer used that issue to challenge the idea that Morgan was truly dominating the division, arguing that holding a championship is not enough if you are not regularly putting it on the line. It was a clever criticism because it attacked Morgan's credibility without needing to question her wrestling ability. Morgan, naturally, did not take the criticism quietly. She responded with the confidence that has become a major part of her character, making it clear that she believed her accomplishments spoke louder than Vaquer's complaints. The exchange quickly moved from championship statistics into a much deeper argument about their careers. Vaquer's message was essentially about earning respect through years of work, while Morgan's response was about making the most of opportunities and proving yourself when the spotlight arrives. Both perspectives have connected with different sections of the audience. Some fans admire Vaquer for taking the difficult route and refusing to let years of work be forgotten. Others believe Morgan deserves credit for reaching the highest level of WWE and remaining there. That division among fans has helped make their rivalry feel authentic because there is a legitimate debate at the center of it. Why fans are divided. The reaction to the exchange has been anything but simple. Some fans believe Morgan is doing exactly what a great wrestling character should do, provoking an opponent, creating controversy, and giving audiences a reason to care about the eventual confrontation. From that perspective, the more personal the rivalry becomes, the more compelling the eventual match could be. Others believe there is a point where competitive trash talk stops being entertaining and starts becoming unnecessarily disrespectful. That debate is particularly strong when the subject moves away from wrestling accomplishments and toward someone's background or personal journey. There is also an important distinction between what happens inside a scripted wrestling segment and what performers choose to say on social media. Fans understand that professional wrestling involves characters and storytelling, but social media can make those boundaries feel much less clear. When wrestlers directly address one another outside the ring, audiences naturally begin wondering how much of the emotion is part of the performance and how much is genuine. That uncertainty is exactly why this rivalry has generated so much attention. Morgan and Vaquer have created a story where fans are no longer simply asking who will win the championship. They are asking whether these two competitors can ever find common ground, or whether their rivalry has become too deeply rooted in resentment to end peacefully. Becky Lynch adds another layer. The timing becomes even more interesting with Becky Lynch back in the picture. Lynch's return immediately adds another major personality to an already crowded women's world championship scene, and her presence changes the balance of the entire division. Morgan can no longer focus exclusively on Vaquer because there are now multiple established stars capable of challenging her position. Vaquer, meanwhile, has another reason to make her case for a championship opportunity before someone else moves ahead of her. The result is a situation where every confrontation carries greater consequences. Morgan wants to prove that her reign belongs to her and that nobody can take the spotlight away from her. Vaquer wants to prove that her years of work were not wasted and that she remains a serious championship threat. Lynch brings her own history, credibility, and enormous fan following into the equation. Suddenly, what looked like a straightforward rivalry has become one of the most unpredictable situations in the women's division. That unpredictability is exactly what WWE needs from a championship story. The question now is not simply whether Morgan and Vaquer will meet again. It is whether their personal issues will continue dominating the story even as new challengers enter the picture. The real question going forward. At the heart of this entire situation is a simple question. How far should a wrestling rivalry go? Morgan and Vaquer have already established that neither woman intends to back down. Their careers are different, their personalities are different, and their ideas about what makes someone deserving of success are completely different. That contrast gives WWE plenty of material to work with, without needing to push the story into genuinely personal territory. The strongest wrestling rivalries usually work because fans understand why the competitors cannot stand each other, not because every exchange becomes more extreme than the last. Morgan has the championship and the confidence that comes with being at the top. Vaquer has the experience, determination, and years of sacrifice that make her believe she deserves another opportunity. Those are more than enough ingredients for a compelling feud. Now the challenge is keeping that intensity entertaining without allowing the story to lose sight of what made fans care in the first place. Whether Morgan continues her championship reign, Vaquer eventually gets another opportunity, or Becky Lynch changes the entire picture, one thing is certain. This rivalry has captured attention because it represents two completely different paths to success. And when those paths collide, the result can be some of the most compelling storytelling WWE has to offer.